Greetings, travelers. I am Nyckelhypa. This is a brief video about a favorite movie of mine. Steven Spielberg's 1993 film Schindler's List is one of the best, most remarkable films of all time. It is so great that it is nearly perfect. I am making this video to discuss what I consider the only storytelling mistake in this otherwise great work of art. My impetus for discussing this flaw is to create more discussion. So let's not beat around the bush. What is the one storytelling flaw in Schindler's List? For me, it is the film's principal antagonist Amon Goeth's execution scene. This moment felt like pandering to me. It also seemed both Spielberg and screenwriter Steven Zaillian missed a crucial element of Amon Goeth's earlier characterization. That element was Goeth's lack of power. Allow me to take a minute and acknowledge that being at the mercy, or I should say the absence of mercy, of this despicable person at the Krakow concentration camp must have been an experience so frightful that I cannot even begin to imagine it. I'm not attempting to argue that Goeth as portrayed in Schindler's List, or the real historic Amon Goeth, didn't have the power to kill. He killed people, and enjoyed killing, as shown by a quote from Holocaust survivor Leopold Pfefferberg, who said, "When you saw Goeth, you saw death." Amon Goeth was a psychopathic monster, justly convicted of homicide by the Supreme National Tribunal of Poland and hanged. So why do I say that showing his execution in Schindler's List was a storytelling mistake? Because this wasn't the moment Goeth was defeated, nor the one that showed how Goeth lacked power. My opinion is that Goeth's defeat, just like Schindler's victory, happened in this scene. Here the good man triumphed over the wicked one. This is demonstrated by the acting, the dialogue, the cinematography and the directing. Many have noticed how the blocking, that is, the movement and positioning of actors on a stage, or in this case within a frame in film, symbolizes the two debating or disagreeing before reaching a compromise. I believe the movement and behavior of both characters also shows distinctly that Schindler has power while Goeth does not. Notice how Schindler's movements are relaxed, minimal, while Goeth is pacing back and forth, nervously pulling on his cigarette. Schindler is also completely unafraid to approach and physically touch this man that most others wouldn't even dare look in the eyes for fear of antagonizing him. The reason it is appropriate for Schindler to appear confident, even dominant, is that he perceives something about Goeth that Goeth doesn't know he perceives. Knowledge is power is a cliché, but it applies here. Schindler has learned enough about Amon to realize he isn't a truly powerful man, never has been. Recall one of the earlier scenes, the "what is power" dialogue between these same characters. We can use Goeth's own words from this exchange against him. He had said, "Control is power," showing the next day that he had little restraint over his own murderous desires. By his own admission, Goeth wasn't a powerful man. He lacked self-control. However, and this is more significant, Goeth lacked empathy. Not just that, he lacked a general awareness of what empathy even was. This was the reason Schindler could so easily outwit him. When Schindler was behaving in a merciful, empathic manner in this scene, Goeth just didn't get it. He thought Schindler was goofing around. From this, Schindler learned how to trick Goeth with relative ease. He understood Goeth's inadequacy and defeated him. The thought that Schindler wasn't concerned with money, but with saving his fellow human beings. The notion that Schindler valued human life for no reason other than that it was human life never even occurred to Goeth. Goeth's lack of self-control made him greedy for Schindler's money. Goeth's lack of understanding of compassion made him ignorant of Schindler's true motivation. The saint fooled a devil, and it was magnificent. This moment, not the shoehorned-in scene of Goeth's execution, showed that a psychopath will not triumph over the good, intelligent man. The psychopath will not win, not because he's weaker sometimes, but rather because his psychopathy means that he's less powerful than a man like Schindler by default. Therefore, I think showing Goeth's execution was pandering and ineffective. He might have been the most memorable character in the film, in part thanks to a stunning performance by the great Ralph Fiennes, but the story was never about Goeth. His time in the relative spotlight should have ended when Schindler fooled him. We should never have seen him again. At this point, you may think, who am I to criticize Spielberg and company? Who am I to assume I know better than them? And am I not a little naive in my conviction that the psychopath is weaker than the good guy and can't win against him? Let me address these challenges in reverse order. A figure in Schindler's List that makes my skin crawl far more than Goethe is this guy. This absolute nightmare of an individual who talks about the liquidation of Jews being a policy, who sips tea whilst talking about genocide more nonchalantly than you and I might talk about weather. I suspect that this fellow, who had authority, had jurisdiction over both Schindler and Goethe, had control of himself as well. He probably gave orders to kill all day long, then went home in the evening, told his wife and kids he loved them and meant it. I'm positive you see what I'm getting at. Schindler could never have fooled this man. That's why Goethe was less unnerving to me, and indeed appeared quite pitiful in a disgusting kind of way. It's not men like Amon Goethe that keep me awake at night. It's people that use men like Amon Goethe to carry out policies of real evil. If you don't mind me borrowing an opinion from a different film about another memorable villain, Goethe was just a mad dog. I fear the person who let him off the leash. To the second point, I'll reiterate what I said at the beginning. Schindler's List is one of the finest films of all time, a personal favorite. But I think it's imperative that we turn a critical, analytical eye to things we love. This helps us fight against our own biases, encourages us to improve our grasp of film, video games, music, books, etc. Critical thinking is also relevant to being a good person. Schindler's List and history both teach this. Good intentions alone won't get us very far at all. In criticizing this film's one mistake, I believe I've also shown the strength of the film. I think any thoughtful, in-depth examination of this masterwork of cinema is something Spielberg and his associates would welcome. Schindler's List is one of the most significant films ever made. I love it, and I love Spielberg. I also love feedback, so please leave me your reflections on this film and on my opinions in the comments. I promise I will read them all. Thank you for watching and listening. May you always find great art to enjoy, and may you never run out of coffee and cookies.